You think they tolerate you. They don't. What you mistake for politeness is calculated endurance, and beneath every smile, every nod, every hollow compliment, there's a contempt so precise it's already erasing you from their world. You've been taught to trust civility, to believe that when someone speaks to you without hostility, when they nod along to your words, when they include you in group settings, that this means acceptance. It doesn't. What you're witnessing is not respect, it's tolerance, and tolerance is not neutral. It's contempt with a leash. Machiavelli understood something most men refuse to see. Politeness is a social tool, not a moral one. It exists to lubricate hierarchies, to prevent open conflict, to maintain the illusion of cohesion. But beneath that surface, beneath the rehearsed smiles and the empty agreements, there is often a cold, precise evaluation happening. And in many cases, that evaluation has already concluded that you are inferior. The reason this is invisible to you is because you've conflated manners with affection. You think someone who doesn't insult you must respect you. You think someone who laughs at your jokes must value you. But these are performances. They cost nothing. And the people who despise you the most are often the ones who performed them best, because they understand that revealing their contempt would give you power. So they hide it. They smile. They nod. They wait. This is not paranoia. This is pattern recognition. And the first step toward sovereignty is accepting that the world you think you're navigating, the one where decency equals respect, does not exist. What exists is a theater, and you've been mistaking actors for allies. The signals are already there. You've been ignoring them because seeing them would require you to act, and action terrifies you more than the slow death of being tolerated by people who despise you. This is the first and most common signal, and you've experienced it dozens of times without naming it. You're in a meeting, a conversation, a group setting. You speak. You offer an idea, a perspective, a contribution. And what happens? Nothing. Not hostility, not disagreement, just silence. The conversation continues as if you hadn't said a word. Your input evaporates into the air, unacknowledged, unprocessed, erased. But 10 minutes later, someone else says the exact same thing, maybe in slightly different words, maybe with more confidence, and suddenly the room responds, nods, agreement, validation, great point. And you sit there wondering if you imagined your own voice. You didn't. You were heard. You were simply dismissed. This is not accidental. This is positional contempt. In any hierarchy, attention is currency. And the people who despise you ration that currency with surgical precision. They acknowledge you just enough to maintain the social contract, but never enough to elevate you, never enough to signal that your voice carries weight. Watch how they respond to others. Notice the difference. When someone they respect speaks, there's a shift, eye contact, body language alignment, verbal confirmation. That's interesting. Tell me more. The group leans in. But when you speak, the energy flattens. They look at their phones. They glance away. They wait for you to finish so the real conversation can resume. This is how hierarchies reinforce themselves without violence. You are being trained through micro-dismissals to speak less, to contribute less, to shrink. And if you don't recognize this pattern, you will internalize it. You will begin to believe that your ideas genuinely aren't valuable, that you're not articulate enough, not smart enough, not worth listening to. But the truth is simpler and colder. They've already decided you don't matter. And every time you speak into that void and receive nothing back, you're confirming their assessment. Not because you're wrong, but because you're still seeking validation from people who have already rendered their verdict. The dismissal is the message, and the message is clear. Your presence is tolerated, but your voice is not. Tone is truth. Words lie. Tone doesn't. When someone despises you but cannot afford to show it openly, their tone betrays them. Not through aggression, that would be too obvious, too risky. Through flatness, through emotional neutrality, through the complete absence of warmth. Listen carefully. When they speak to others, there's variation, energy, inflection, laughter, curiosity. The voice rises and falls. There's texture. But when they turn to you, the tone drops into monotone. Responses become transactional, clipped, efficient. Yes, got it, sure. No elaboration, no follow-up questions, no engagement beyond what is strictly necessary. This is emotional rationing. They are giving you the bare minimum required to maintain the appearance of professionalism or civility, and absolutely nothing more. Because giving you warmth would cost them something they're unwilling to spend: regard. You can test this. Pay attention in group settings. Notice how their voice changes depending on who they're addressing. When they speak to someone they respect, the tone softens. There's humor, there's openness. Questions are asked with genuine curiosity. But when they speak to you, it's like talking to a system, functional, cold, transactional. This is not shyness. This is not introversion. This is deliberate withholding, and it reveals something critical. They have decided that you do not deserve their emotional energy. You are a task to be managed, not a person to be engaged. Machiavelli observed this in the courts. Rivals didn't shout at each other. They simply stopped offering the social warmth that signals alliance. A cold greeting, a flat acknowledgement, a response devoid of enthusiasm. These were not accidents. They were declarations. You exist in my world, but you are not of my world. And here's what makes this so devastating. Most people don't consciously register tonal shifts. They feel something is off, but they can't name it, so they internalize it as their own inadequacy. Maybe I'm boring. Maybe I'm not interesting enough. Maybe I need to try harder to connect. No, the tone is not a reflection of your value. It's a reflection of their contempt. And once you hear it, once you truly hear the difference between how they speak to you versus how they speak to others, you can never unhear it. They didn't forget to invite you. They chose not to. This is the signal that operates under plausible deniability. You find out about the meeting after it happened. The group chat you weren't added to. The dinner you weren't invited to. The project you weren't looped into. And when you ask, if you ask, the response is always the same. Oh, I thought you knew. I didn't think you'd be interested. It was last minute. These are not mistakes. Exclusion is intentional, and the oversight excuse is a test. They're testing whether you'll challenge it or accept your place. Most men accept it. They rationalize it. Maybe it really was an accident. Maybe I'm reading too much into this. Maybe I wasn't relevant to that conversation. And in doing so, they give permission for the exclusion to continue, because the excluders now know you will tolerate being left out. You will make excuses for them. You will not push back. This is how social hierarchies are maintained without confrontation. You are not explicitly told you don't belong. You are simply not included. And the psychological effect is identical. You begin to see yourself as peripheral, optional, irrelevant. Watch the pattern. Is this happening once or repeatedly? Are you consistently the last to know, the last to be informed, the one who has to ask for access to information that others receive automatically? That's not coincidence, that's structure. In corporate environments, this is lethal. The employee who is excluded from key meetings, key emails, key conversations is the employee being phased out. They are still on payroll, still doing work, still showing up, but they are no longer in the decision-making layer. They have been moved to the periphery, and everyone knows it except them. Machiavelli saw this in political courts. When a courtier fell out of favor, he wasn't exiled immediately. He was simply not invited, not consulted, not included. He would walk the same halls, attend the same public events, but the real conversations, the ones where power was negotiated, happened without him. And the cruelest part? He was often the last to realize it. If you are being excluded repeatedly, it is not an accident, it is a message. And that message is, you are not part of the inner circle. You are not trusted. You are not valued. You exist in proximity to power, but you do not possess it. The correct response is not to beg for inclusion. It is to build your own circle, your own systems, your own networks where you are not optional, where you are central. Because once you've been moved to the periphery, no amount of performance will move you back.
They say the right words. Good to see you. Let's catch up. We should collaborate. But their body tells a different story. Arms crossed, feet angled toward the exit, eye contact that lasts half a second too short, the handshake that's limp, the smile that doesn't reach the eyes. The body cannot lie. It doesn't have the software for sustained deception. And when the body contradicts the mouth, trust the body, always. You've felt this. Someone says all the right things, but something feels wrong. You can't name it, but you feel it in your gut. That feeling is your nervous system reading their nervous system. And what it's reading is incongruence. What it's reading is contempt dressed as courtesy. Machiavellian operators know this, so they rehearse the words, but they cannot fully control the micro-expressions, the postural shifts, the physiological signals of discomfort or disdain. And if you're paying attention, not to what they say, but to how their body responds when they say it, you will see the truth.
This is the most insidious signal because it wears the mask of friendship. They offer help, but the help leads you into traps. They give advice, but the advice serves their interests, not yours. They make introductions, but the people they introduce you to waste your time or damage your reputation. They compliment you, but the compliments are laced with implications. You're so brave to try that. Translation: I think you're going to fail. I admire how you don't care what people think. Translation: everyone thinks you're a fool. You're so dedicated. Translation: you're working too hard for too little. This is contempt performing as concern, and it's designed to do two things: maintain the illusion that they're on your side, while subtly undermining your confidence, your strategy, your momentum. If someone's help consistently leads you into worse positions, that is not incompetence. That is sabotage. And the fact that they smile while doing it doesn't make it less lethal. They create scenarios where you must prove your value, your allegiance, your usefulness, over and over. Others are given trust by default. You are given suspicion. Others are allowed mistakes. You are held to perfection. Others are included automatically. You must earn every invitation. This is hierarchy enforcement. They are reminding you constantly that your position is conditional, that you are on probation, that you exist in their world only as long as you continue to prove you deserve to. And here's the trap. The tests never end, because the point is not to evaluate you. The point is to keep you performing, to keep you anxious, to keep you in a state of perpetual audition. The moment you recognize this pattern, stop performing, because you are not auditioning for people who have already decided you're not worth casting. You share something real, something human, a struggle, a fear, a moment of uncertainty. And instead of connection, you receive coldness. Not hostility, not judgment, just distance. They go quiet. Responses become shorter. Engagement drops. They change the subject quickly. And in the days that follow, there's a shift. They pull back, become less available, less warm. This is contempt confirmation. You showed weakness, and it validated everything they already believed about you. They didn't see your vulnerability as courage. They saw it as proof that you are exactly what they suspected, inferior. Machiavelli warned against this. He said the prince must never reveal weakness to those who do not love him, because those who despise you will not empathize with your struggles. They will exploit them. When you open up to someone and they withdraw, they are telling you something critical. They do not see you as an equal. They see you as someone beneath them. And your vulnerability did not create intimacy. It created contempt. The correct response is to never be vulnerable with them again. Not out of bitterness, out of strategy. They have shown you who they are. Believe them. This is the final and most devastating signal. And if you see it, the relationship is already over. They begin cultivating someone else in your role. Same conversations, same attention, same inclusion. They are building your replacement in front of your eyes. In professional settings, this looks like a new hire who is suddenly given access you never had. A colleague who is suddenly consulted on decisions you used to be part of. Someone younger, sharper, more compliant, being groomed to take your position. In personal relationships, this looks like a new friend who receives the warmth you used to receive. Someone who is invited to things you're excluded from. Someone who is treated with the regard you once thought you had. This is not insecurity. This is observation, and the pattern is clear. You are being phased out. The cruelest part of the replacement signal is that it's done openly. They don't hide it because they don't fear your reaction. They know you won't confront it. They know you'll rationalize it. They know you'll stay even as you're being erased. And here's the truth. By the time you see the replacement, the decision to remove you was made weeks or months ago. You are not witnessing the beginning of your exit. You are witnessing the final stage. The only move is to leave before you're fully discarded, not out of pride, out of sovereignty. Because walking away on your terms is power. Being replaced and staying anyway is humiliation. You now have all 8 signals. You know what to look for. The question is, will you act on what you see, or will you wait until the contempt becomes undeniable and the damage is irreversible? Contempt is never hidden out of kindness. It's hidden out of calculation. When someone despises you but continues to engage with you politely, they are not being mature or diplomatic. They are managing you. And the fact that they feel the need to manage you reveals something critical. You still have leverage they cannot afford to ignore. This is the paradox most men miss. They assume that if someone truly hated them, that person would simply leave or attack openly. But that's not how power works. Open hostility is a confession of vulnerability. It signals that the other person feels threatened enough to abandon strategy in favor of emotion. Hidden contempt, on the other hand, is controlled. It's patient. It means they've decided you're not worth the risk of confrontation, but also not irrelevant enough to discard entirely. Machiavelli observed this in the courts of Renaissance Italy. Rivals didn't shout, they smiled, they collaborated. They waited for the perfect moment to strike. Because in any hierarchy, political, social, professional, revealing your hand too early is suicide. Contempt that stays hidden is contempt that's waiting for permission to surface. And that permission comes the moment you lose status, utility, or protection. So when you sense someone's disdain but can't prove it, understand this. They are performing restraint not out of respect for you, but out of respect for the consequences of exposing themselves. You are not safe. You are simply still useful or still feared, and the second that changes, the mask drops. In primate hierarchies, subordinates are not always attacked. They are tolerated. They receive grooming, but less of it. They are included, but on the periphery. The dominants don't waste energy destroying them. They simply ensure the subordinate knows their place through relentless, subtle signals, distance, coldness, exclusion from inner circles. You are experiencing the human version of this, and the contempt is hidden not because it doesn't exist, but because revealing it would cost them more than concealing it. They need your labor, your compliance, your silence, and open contempt would risk losing that. The moment you understand this, you understand the game. They are not your allies, they are your managers, and the second you stop producing value or stop being a threat, the performance ends. You do not confront. You do not explain. You do not seek closure. These are the behaviors of someone still seeking validation from people who have already rendered their verdict, and their verdict is final. The only correct response to hidden contempt is strategic withdrawal. Not dramatic, not emotional, not announced. You simply begin the process of severance, quietly, methodically, and without explanation. Step 1. Stop offering value. If they despise you, they do not deserve your resources, your time, your attention, your expertise, your emotional labor. All of it stops. You do not punish them. You simply reallocate. Redirect what you are giving them toward people and systems that recognize its worth. This is not revenge. This is resource management. Step 2. Create distance without declaration. You do not tell them you're pulling away. You do not announce your boundaries. You simply become less available. Responses slow. Engagement thins. Invitations are politely declined without explanation. You are not angry. You are not hurt. You are simply elsewhere. And this creates more psychological pressure than any confrontation ever could. Step 3. Observe without reaction. Watch how they respond to your withdrawal. If the contempt was real, they will either feel relief or intensify their subtle hostility to provoke you back into reaction. Either response confirms what you already knew, and confirmation is permission to fully disengage. Step 4. Build parallel systems. Do not wait for them to exclude you completely. Begin constructing alternate networks, alternate sources of validation, alternate arenas of power. You do not need their world to collapse for you to thrive. You need your own world to expand until theirs becomes irrelevant. Step 5. Never explain your exit. The moment you explain why you're leaving, you hand them the power to reframe the narrative. He was too sensitive. He misunderstood. He couldn't handle the truth. Silence is sovereignty. Let them wonder. Let them fill the void with their own guilt or indifference. Either way, you are free. This is not about winning. This is about no longer playing a rigged game. Machiavelli understood that the wise prince does not waste time converting enemies into allies. He simply ensures they can no longer harm him. And the fastest way to render contempt harmless is to make yourself unavailable to receive it. You've seen the signals. You know the truth. The only question now is whether you have the discipline to act on what you know, or whether you'll continue tolerating contempt because leaving feels harder than staying. There is a version of you that will not survive what you now know, and that version must die, not metaphorically, not eventually, now. This is the version of you that believed decency was a contract, the one that thought if you were kind, reliable, competent, loyal, that others would mirror that back to you. That version operated under the assumption that the world is just, that effort is rewarded, that goodness is recognized. It isn't. And every day you carry that belief forward is another day you volunteer to be exploited. You must kill the part of you that needs to be liked, that craves external validation, that measures its worth by how others treat you. Because as long as that part of you exists, you will tolerate contempt, you will rationalize disrespect, you will convince yourself that maybe you misread the signals, maybe you're being paranoid, maybe if you just try harder, they'll finally see your value. They won't. They already decided, and your need for their approval is the leash they use to keep you compliant. Machiavelli wrote that the prince who cannot abandon his desire to be loved will be destroyed by those who see that desire as weakness, and you are no different. The moment someone realizes you need their regard, they own you. They can withhold it, dangle it, withdraw it, and you will dance, you will compromise, you will shrink. All because you refuse to let go of the fantasy that respect is something you earn through virtue. You must also kill the part of you that waits for fairness, the part that believes if you just endure long enough, if you just stay silent long enough, the truth will reveal itself and justice will arrive. It won't. Contempt does not correct itself. It escalates, and the people who despise you are not waiting for you to prove them wrong. They are waiting for you to prove them right by staying. What replaces this dead identity is something colder, something sovereign, a version of you that does not need external confirmation to know its worth, a version that walks away from contempt not out of hurt, but out of clarity. A version that understands that loyalty to people who despise you is not honor, it is suicide. This new identity does not seek revenge, it does not need closure, it does not require the other person to understand or regret. It simply moves, and it never looks back. The old you would have stayed, would have tried harder, would have believed that eventually they'd see your value. The new you knows better. Most men will never see this. They will live their entire lives surrounded by people who despise them, and they will call it friendship. They will interpret tolerance as love. They will mistake the absence of open conflict for the presence of respect. And they will die confused, bitter, wondering why no one truly valued them, never realizing they were visible the entire time. They were just never regarded. This is not tragedy. This is selection. The world does not owe you clarity. It offers signals, patterns, behavioral data, and it is your responsibility to interpret them. Most men refuse. They would rather live in comfortable delusion than face the cold truth that they have been tolerating contempt for years. And so they stay, they endure, they convince themselves it will get better. It won't. You now have something most men will never possess, the ability to see beneath the mask. You can identify hidden contempt before it calcifies into betrayal. You can recognize the signals before they become scars. And with that knowledge comes a choice. You can ignore it. You can tell yourself this doesn't apply to you. You can rationalize the signs away, convince yourself you're overthinking, return to the safety of ignorance. And if you do, nothing changes. You will continue to give your time, your energy, your loyalty to people who have already written you off. Or you can act. You can become the kind of man who does not wait for permission to withdraw, who does not need consensus to trust his own perception, who understands that walking away from contempt is not weakness, it is sovereignty. Machiavelli said, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. You must be both, sharp enough to see the trap, strong enough to walk away from it." Most men will remain in the trap, comfortable, compliant, confused. You are no longer most men.